Hey, digital explorers, welcome to Tech Curiosity Stream, where we venture into tech's most taboo corners. Today, we're strapping on our digital spelunking gear and diving headfirst into the dark web. Yeah, you heard me right. That shadowy corner of the internet everyone whispers about, but few truly understand. We're talking about the place where Bitcoin's king, stolen data goes shopping, and you can apparently hire a hitman. Though we'll get to that later. Now, before we fire up the old Tor browser and start clicking on things we probably shouldn't, let me lay down some ground rules. First, this isn't about glorifying criminal activity. We're here to demystify the dark web, understand its mechanics, and yeah, maybe expose a few of its weirder corners. Think of it like this, we're going on a digital safari. Fascinating, a little unnerving, and you definitely don't want to feed the wildlife. So, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and prepare to explore the digital underbelly with me. It's gonna be a wild ride. Alright, before we even think about firing up Tor and stumbling into a digital drug den, let's clear up some misconceptions. The dark web isn't some monolithic entity where hackers hang out and plot world domination. It's more like a mislabeled filing cabinet. See, most people confuse the dark web with the deep web. Imagine the internet's like an iceberg, the tip, the stuff you see every day, Google cat videos, that embarrassing TikTok you posted in 2020. That's the surface web. It's about 4% of the whole shebang. Then you've got the deep web, the massive chunk lurking below the surface. This is the stuff behind logins, your Gmail, bank accounts, that online forum where you argue about Star Wars fan theories. It's huge, like 90% of the internet huge, and it's mostly harmless. Finally, at the very bottom, you've got the dark web. This is the 1%, the stuff deliberately hidden, requiring special software to access. And yeah, while it has its share of shady characters, it's not all black markets and hitmen. Get this, the dark web wasn't cooked up in some shadowy hacker lair, it was actually invented by the US Navy in the 1990s. That's right, the same folks who brought you aircraft carriers and SEAL Team 6 also accidentally created the internet's anonymous underbelly. The idea was to create a secure way for spies and informants to communicate without revealing their identities. They called it the Onion Routing Project, because, like an onion, it layers your connection through multiple servers, making it near impossible to trace. And thus, Tor was born. But like a rogue AI in a cheesy sci-fi flick, Tor escaped the lab and went rogue. It wasn't long before folks realized this anonymity could be used for less than legal activities. Suddenly, the Navy's secure communication tool became the internet's Wild West. Ironic, isn't it? It's enough to make you wonder what other technological marvels are lurking in government labs just waiting to be unleashed on the world. Now, before you picture the dark web as some digital hellscape, it's not all doom and gloom. Sure, there's plenty of illegal activity, but there's also a surprising amount of, well, mundane stuff. Think forums for privacy enthusiasts, secure file sharing for journalists and activists, even marketplaces selling, well, let's just say, unconventional goods. It's like walking into a digital flea market, you never know what you'll find. And that's the thing about the dark web. It's a reflection of the real world, with all its good, bad, and just plain weird. There are communities, subcultures, and yeah, even some pretty terrible memes, so buckle up, because in the next chapter we're going to show you how to safely access the dark web without getting arrested, hacked, or accidentally buying a lifetime supply of expired Skittles. Stay tuned. Okay, so you're curious about the dark web. You want to see what all the fuss is about, maybe do some digital spelunking of your own. But before you type dark web links into Google and click the first thing that pops up, let's talk safety. Because venturing into the dark web unprepared is like walking into a bear cave wearing a bacon suit. First things first, you're going to need a special browser. Forget Chrome, Firefox, or whatever you use to browse cat memes. To access the dark web, you need Tor, specifically the Tor browser. Think of Tor like Chrome's mysterious, privacy-obsessed cousin. It's free to download, a little slow and kinda clunky to use, but it's the key to unlocking the dark web. Why? Because Tor routes your traffic through a labyrinth of volunteer-run servers around the world, making it virtually impossible to trace your activity back to you. Now, even with Tor, you don't want to waltz into the dark web unprepared. Remember, anonymity is your best friend here, and that means taking a few extra precautions. First up, a VPN. Think of it like this. Tor masks your IP address, but your ISP can still see you're using Tor. A VPN adds an extra layer of encryption, making it look like you're browsing from a different location altogether. But it doesn't stop there. On the dark web, you need to be anonymous, like digitally invisible. That means no real names, no personal information, and definitely no posting selfies with your Tor browser open. Trust me, that's not a good look. Remember, the dark web is like Vegas. What happens there, stays there. Or at least it should, so treat it with a healthy dose of paranoia. So, you've got Tor, you've got your VPN fired up, and you're feeling all incognito. Now what? Well, navigating the dark web is a little different than your usual internet browsing. Forget those catchy .com or .org addresses. On the dark web, websites end in onion. Think of it like the secret handshake of the internet underbelly. These onion addresses are like constantly shifting coordinates, accessible only through the Tor network. And trust me, you won't find them just by Googling around. In fact, most dark websites are intentionally hidden, shared through word of mouth or tucked away in the depths of online forums. And that's just the beginning. Next chapter, we're diving headfirst into the dark web's most infamous landmarks, from the rise and fall of the Silk Road to the murky world of Hitman marketplaces. Spoiler alert, it's wilder than you think. Alright, buckle up because we're diving into the dark web's Hall of Fame or maybe Hall of Shame, depending on how you look at it. First up, the legend itself, Silk Road. Picture Amazon, but instead of books and dog food, it's, well, everything your mom warned you about. We're talking drugs, lots of drugs. This was back in 2011, and the mastermind behind it all went by the very piratey name of Dread Pirate Roberts. Turns out DPR was actually this libertarian hippie dude named Ross Ulbricht. He ran Silk Road on this whole free market philosophy, which, sounds kind of noble until you realize he's basically running a digital drug empire. Anyway, the feds weren't exactly thrilled about Silk Road. It took a couple of years, but they eventually shut it down and tossed Ulbricht in the slammer for life. Harsh? Maybe. Entertaining story? Absolutely. Next up on our tour of dark web landmarks, we've got WikiLeaks. Love 'em or hate 'em, you gotta admit, they know how to make a splash. Julian Assange, the founder, started WikiLeaks on the dark web, using its anonymity to publish all sorts of classified information. Governments hated it, journalists were torn, and the internet exploded with every new leak. It was like watching a slow-motion train wreck, you couldn't look away. Say what you want about Assange and his methods, but WikiLeaks proved that the dark web could be used for more than just buying weed and stolen credit cards. And speaking of leaks, the dark web has become a haven for whistleblowers. Those brave souls who risk everything to expose corruption and shady dealings. Think Edward Snowden and the NSA surveillance stuff. These are the people who have something truly important to say, but can't exactly post it on Facebook without, disappearing in the middle of the night. The dark web gives them a platform, a voice, and most importantly, a good dose of digital armor. Now let's talk about the stuff that gives the dark web its creepy reputation: Hitman marketplaces. Sounds terrifying, right? I mean, who needs a Craigslist for hire section when you can order a hitman with a few clicks? Here's the catch though. Most of these hitman sites are total scams. We're talking about shady operators who take your Bitcoin and disappear faster than a politician's promise. I mean, I've seen more convincing threats in YouTube comments, but hey, it's not all doom and gloom. The dark web also has its fair share of, shall we say, eccentric characters. We're talking about those deep, dark corners of the internet where people have very specific, very weird interests. Think forums dedicated to debating the best way to hack a toaster oven or whether pineapple on pizza is a crime against humanity. Look, I'm not here to judge, but some of this stuff is just bizarre. So, who are these shadowy figures lurking in the digital underworld? Well, it's not all black hats and hackers, though there are plenty of those. First up, We've got the good guys, the whistleblowers and journalists we talked about earlier. These are the people risking their necks, or at least their online identities, to expose the truth. They're using the dark web's anonymity to share sensitive information that would get them censored, sued, or worse if they tried to do it out in the open. Think of them as digital Robin Hoods, stealing secrets from the powerful and sharing them with the world. Okay, maybe not stealing, but you get the idea. They're fighting the good fight, even if it means living life in the shadows. And then there are the journalists, those brave souls who venture into the dark web to uncover stories that would otherwise stay buried. They're digging through forums, talking to sources, and piecing together the truth, one encrypted message at a time. Now, let's talk about the bad guys, because no exploration of the dark web would be complete without them. We're talking about the cybercriminals, the hackers, the scammers, the kind of people who give your grandma nightmares about identity theft. These are the folks who use the dark web to buy and sell all sorts of nasty stuff. Stolen credit card data, malware that'll make your computer cry, and even your Netflix password. And yes, they really do buy and sell that stuff. Remember those "you've won a free cruise" pop-ups that used to plague the internet? Well, the dark web is like that, but instead of a free cruise, it's a one-way ticket to getting your bank account drained. And then there are the hackers, the digital guns for hire, who'll do just about anything for the right price. Need to take down a website? Steal some corporate secrets? Rig an election? Okay, maybe not that last one, but you get the idea. But even in the dark web's murky depths, not everyone's a master criminal. In fact, a lot of the folks you'll find there are, well, kind of incompetent. We're talking about the scammers, the digital snake oil salesmen who promise the world and deliver a whole lot of nothing. These are the guys offering guaranteed green cards for $100 in Bitcoin, fake passports that look like they were designed in MS Paint, and university degrees from institutions that exist only in their imaginations. And let's not forget the classic Nigerian prince scam, which has somehow found new life on the dark web. Seriously? People are still falling for that? I mean, come on folks, it's the 21st century. But hey, even in their incompetence, these scammers serve as a valuable reminder. If something on the dark web sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Alright, let's go window shopping, shall we? Don't worry, we won't be buying anything. We're just here to browse the digital shelves of the dark web's most infamous marketplaces. Think of it as Amazon for, well, everything your mom told you not to buy. First up, the classics drugs. And I'm not talking about your grandpa's heart medication. We're talking everything from weed to, well, let's just say stuff that'll make your heart stop. And it's all priced in Bitcoin, of course, because anonymity is the name of the game. The reviews are interesting, to say the least. 10 out of 10 would buy again, writes one satisfied customer. My cat overdosed, but that's on him, writes another. Okay, maybe I made that last one up, but you get the idea. But drugs are just the tip of the iceberg. These marketplaces are like digital flea markets, except instead of dusty furniture and vintage clothes, you'll find stolen data, hacking tools, and enough illegal fireworks to make Guy Fawkes jealous. Need a new identity? No problem. The dark web's got you covered. For a few $100 in Bitcoin, you can score yourself a fake driver's license, passport, or even a social security number. Just don't try using them to get a mortgage or anything because, fraud. And if you're feeling particularly malicious, you can always buy someone else's identity. That's right, all your personal information from your mother's maiden name to your first pet's name is up for grabs to the highest bidder. But identity theft is so last decade. These days, it's all about hacking. Need to take down a website? Hire a DDoS attack and watch your enemies crumble under the weight of 1 million fake visitors. Want to spy on your ex? There's a hacker for that. And if you're feeling really ambitious, you can even buy yourself a botnet, a network of infected computers that you can control remotely. Just promise me you'll use your powers for good, okay? Or at least not for evil. Now before you go thinking about firing up Tor and placing an order for a kilo of cocaine and a rocket launcher, let's talk about the fine print. Because as with any good black market, there are risks involved. First off, You never really know who you're dealing with. That friendly vendor selling you premium quality marijuana could be an undercover cop, or worse, a scammer who's about to disappear with your Bitcoin. And even if you do find a legitimate vendor, there's always the risk of getting scammed. Remember that saying, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is? Yeah, that applies tenfold on the dark web. And then there are the honeypots, fake websites set up by law enforcement to catch unsuspecting criminals. These sites look like the real deal, but they're actually crawling with digital tripwires designed to track your every move. Alright folks, we've toured the curiosity cabinet that is the dark web, but let's talk about the dangers lurking in those digital shadows. First up, malware. Think of it like this. You're walking through a dark forest and someone scattered a bunch of bear traps around. One wrong step and bam, your computer's infected. You might download what you think is a free VPN, a pirated game, or even that totally legit Bitcoin mining software. But surprise, you just invited a digital parasite into your system. Next thing you know, your computer's running slower than a snail in molasses, your passwords are leaking faster than a busted faucet, and your precious data is being held hostage for ransom. Not cool, right? Now, if malware is the bear trap of the dark web, then scams are the quicksand pits. They're everywhere, and they're designed to suck you in before you even realize what's happening. We're talking about those too good to be true deals. Become a millionaire overnight with this one weird Bitcoin trick, or get access to the Illuminati's secret stash for the low price of your life savings. And let's not forget about the classic fake escrow services where you think you're safely buying something but the money just vanishes into thin air along with the seller. Look, I get it. The allure of easy money or exclusive access is tempting, but trust me, if it sounds too good to be true on the dark web, it absolutely is. Don't be a sucker. Okay, we've talked about the very real dangers of malware and scams. But let's address the elephant in the room, the dark web's reputation for being a haven for hitmen, red rooms, and all sorts of other terrifying myths. Now, I'm not saying those things don't exist at all, but let's be real. The chances of you stumbling upon a genuine hitman marketplace or a live-streamed torture session are about as high as me winning an Olympic gold medal in synchronized swimming. What you should be more worried about is law enforcement. The FBI, DEA, and other agencies are very aware of the dark web, and they're constantly patrolling those digital streets, looking for illegal activity. Remember Ross Ulbricht, the guy behind Silk Road? He thought he was untouchable, but he ended up getting caught and is now serving a life sentence. So, yeah, the feds are watching. You've been warned. Alright, so you've decided to dip your toes into the digital abyss. Good for you. Knowledge is power, even if it's kind of terrifying. But before you fire up Tor, let's talk about staying safe. Rule number 1, anonymity is your best friend. Think of it like this. Entering the dark web with your real info is like walking into a biker bar wearing a suit of meat. You're gonna attract some unwanted attention. We're talking about creating a completely separate online identity. That means burner emails, fake names, the whole 9 yards. And for the love of all that is holy, no selfies. I don't care if you just got a killer haircut. The dark web is not the place to be showing off your new look. Trust me on this one. Next up, the currency of choice for shady dealings and, surprisingly, overpriced alpaca socks. That's right, we're talking about Bitcoin. Now, before you dive headfirst into the crypto rabbit hole, there's one crucial thing you need to remember. Mixing is your friend. See, Bitcoin might seem anonymous, but it's more like a digital trail of breadcrumbs leading straight to your doorstep. Unless, of course, you use a mixer. Think of it as laundering your digital cash, but, you know, the legal kind. It takes your Bitcoin, swirls it around with a bunch of other people's Bitcoin, and spits it out the other end squeaky clean. Well, as clean as digital drug money can be. And hey, if you're feeling extra cautious, there's always Monero, the privacy coin that makes Bitcoin look like a Facebook status update. The dark web is a lot like high school, except instead of cliques, you've got scammers, hackers, and undercover feds. And let's be real, you wouldn't trust that kid who sold you a genuine Rolex in the bathroom, would you? Same rules apply here. That friendly hacker offering to help you out, probably a Fed, that too-good-to-be-true deal on a lifetime supply of RAM, definitely a scam. Look, I get it, curiosity is a powerful drug, but when it comes to the dark web, a healthy dose of paranoia is your best defense. Remember, on the dark web, everyone has an angle, so stay vigilant, keep your wits about you, and whatever you do, don't click on any links that promise shocking content. Unless you're really into malware, that is. So, we've talked about the dangers of the dark web today, but buckle up, folks, because the future is gonna get a whole lot weirder. And by weirder, I mean scarier. Because if you thought dodging Nigerian princes with bad grammar was tough, just wait until you meet the AI scammers of tomorrow. Imagine this. You get a frantic call from your mom. But it's not actually your mom, it's a deepfake. So realistic it could fool a facial recognition scanner. And this deepfake mom is begging for Bitcoin, claiming she's been kidnapped by squirrels or something equally bizarre. Now you might think you'd never fall for something so ridiculous. But these AI-powered scams are getting terrifyingly sophisticated. We're talking voice cloning, facial mapping, the whole shebang. It's enough to make you want to unplug from the internet and live off the grid. And as if AI scammers weren't enough to keep you up at night, let's talk about quantum computers, shall we? These technological behemoths have the potential to break the internet as we know it. Literally. Remember Tor? Our trusty anonymity tool? Yeah, quantum computers might just chew through its encryption like it's a bag of Cheetos. Now before you start building a Faraday cage around your router, it's worth noting that quantum computing is still in its early stages. It's like the Wild West of computing out there, with everyone and their dog trying to build the first stable qubit. But when, not if, they crack it, the dark web as we know it will cease to exist. And in its place, something far more chaotic, far more unpredictable. It's enough to give even the most hardened cybersecurity expert a serious case of the chills. So yeah, maybe start panicking in like 2040. But until then, let's just try to enjoy our regularly encrypted internet, shall we? But hey, maybe quantum computers aren't your thing. Maybe you're more worried about governments cracking down on the dark web, shutting it down for good. Well, I've got news for you. The future of the dark web is all about decentralization, and that's both exciting and terrifying. Imagine a dark web built on blockchain technology, spread across a network of thousands, maybe even millions of computers. No central authority, no single point of failure. It'd be like trying to shut down the internet itself. Good luck with that, FBI. But here's the kicker. A decentralized dark web would be a haven for truly anonymous activity. And that means everything from whistleblowers and journalists to, well, the worst humanity has to offer. It's a double-edged sword, folks. But one thing's for sure, the future of the dark web is gonna be wild. Well, there you have it, folks. A glimpse into the shadowy world of the dark web. If you're now triple-checking your VPN, smash like, share this video, and subscribe. Smash that bell. We've got AI conspiracies, crypto heists, and hacker documentaries queued up. Thanks for lurking in the shadows with us. Remember, knowledge is power, but don't poke the bear. See you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay skeptical, and as always, stay curious.